I wanted to test this audio on for YouTube. Okay, we got audio there. We'll be starting in about 20 minutes. So then, let me screen. Y'all see that sale going on?
Can you hear me? I can't hear you because you're on mute.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. I think we're just waiting on Jim.
What time is it?
It's about 11 more minutes till we start.
Okay.
A little bit. I have, right now I'm sharing my screen so people can see that we have our 30% off archival matte papers using the promo code AMPSAVE. And that goes on till the 6th. So we're already getting some responses for that. Let's see. I was just thinking, this is the first time we've had the reverse. I'm here at Finer Works. You're there.
Yeah, usually you're at home and I'm at the office, and this time it kind of worked out the other way around.
Yeah, sure did. Let's see. We'll have this on here,
So
and
you're not really in the lobby.
nope. Nope. I have it as a background, so I didn't have just the plain white wall behind me to look like a mugshot. They pretty good, pretty good. It works out decent. You can see our dive on Finer Work sign. We have on here our archival mate. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can use the live chat. We will have this available for playback later, and it takes about a day for YouTube to process, but usually we edit out this intro part here, just so y'all don't have to sit through so much of the setup. And here comes Jim.
Is that the incredible Jim Landers or just the regular one? I can't tell.
I can't tell yet because the video is not on.
It's the regular Jim Landers photo, but I don't know. Maybe it's the incredible Jim Landers. Yeah.
Nice new background back there.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Robin made that. That was my Valentine's gift.
Oh,
so
wow.
There's she bought that at I guess online at Home Depot, but my younger son put it together. Robin put a white backing on it, and then I hung it up on the wall, and she decorated it with a bunch of our cameras. This is real. These are real cameras. Someone asked me if this was just a background, and it is a background, but it's all real stuff.
Yeah.
All real. So
anyone that's been to your studio,
they would know.
You had your whole display case full of old cameras, and really cool. A little mini museum of photography.
That's right.
Yeah,
we've got so many cameras. These are all the little ones, or a lot of the little ones, but there's over 120 in the collection. So this is I think 11. So it's maybe 12. So it's about 1/10 of the collection. And Robin said she was going to change it out every once in a while. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Are those all manual cameras, or do you have some automatic cameras in there too?
And they're all manual. They're all old. In fact, the oldest one is that's behind me is from 1916.
Wow.
Over 100. And it's the one in the box. It was given, all these are gifts, but this was given to me in its box. And so it's in perfect condition.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think the oldest camera I have is a Pentax K1000.
Oh, cool. That's 70s.
Yeah, it went, like I said, I think the guy that had actually went to Vietnam to document some of the after stuff or something like that. But anyhow, he had stepped on a mine and the camera body survived and
Man,
not the lens. But I mean, that thing is, I can still use it. It's so durable. It
what
is
a
like,
story.
and it is like a heavy piece of weight to it. So I still have that camera, and I was like, wow, it's one of my favorites that I have there. So
Wow.
I miss old film developing. You know, I liked it. I mean, well, you met me when I worked at 1 Hour Pro Photo way
Mhm.
back in my high school, college freshman days, right there, and we
That
used
wasn't that long ago. What are you talking about?
God, 94, 95. And I mean, we still did hand developing there for people
Mhm.
and spotting with the 3 bristle brush to do some of the stuff that you
Whoa,
bring in. Remember, gosh,
crazy. Dang. Yeah.
so
Yeah, I don't think most people are gonna know what you're talking about though.
I know they don't know. Everybody has Photoshop now to do all of that stuff.
Hmm.
I used to sit there with a little 3 hair bristle brush and take spots out of prints and I think this is why anybody who's in photography all seems to wear glasses or is blind or something like that. Because
Not funny.
we started with like nothing to see, just no sight at all there. It's all withering away. But yeah, well, we're gonna get started in about 4 minutes. We just like I said, if you're joining us on YouTube, we have the live chat feature there that you can use. And if you're going to be joining us on Zoom, just chime in or use the chat feature there. We can pass the question on over to Jim. And did you have, I was just going to ask you if you had a thing for today, and
I
then we'll put that on for those of you on YouTube. I'll have Jim's presentation over there in just a second.
I knew
Just
you were gonna ask.
yeah, so we have Gerard that is joining us here on Zoom. Welcome, and let him connect his audio first. And
Bro,
Hey,
I know him.
welcome, Jero.
He's a cool dude.
thank you, thank you.
And so we'll be getting that presentation over into our live audience too, and we share that in a second. So Jerome has access to your presentation. Just FYI, at Finer Works, we do have a sale going on through Sunday the 6th on archival matte paper. You just got to use that promo code on AMP Save. Now this is on, your like on one print. So you want to make sure that you put that promo code at checkout. And like I said, if you haven't used archival matte paper, it's nice because it's a great way to go ahead and start doing presentations of your fine art prints, of your photography. It's just a great presentation paper. So if you've never tried it out, do that. Or if you really want to go and see something big, our sale is the perfect time to try large prints, and see how those come out. And as always, too, let's see, we also have, I always tell people if you've never ordered either with us too, you can also order a sample kit there, and that'll get you all of our papers, and it's $20, but you get a $20 gift card with it. So if this is the first time you're trying out Finer Works, I suggest that so you can know what papers you want to order when you see these sales pop up. So I'm going to give you host. I'll make you the host. I already opened our stuff there. All right. Okay, Jim, and you are now host.
I have control. Are you scared?
Yeah, nervous. Let's see. share my thing. And let me download your presentation here.
I need to go over and see you guys. I haven't seen the new entry.
Well, I know. And I have it as a virtual background too.
I like
'Cause
it.
I'm in my little office and I'm like, well, I just have this plain white background still because I'm in a side room here. And I wanted it to have at least, I told James, I like to show off some of our stuff here, like our Dibond Finer Works sign back there.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah, if
cool.
you come into our new lobby, that's it. It's very bright in here, and it's a great way to also see your prints because there's so much light. I like it. Well, it is 4 o'clock, and I will let you start.
Yay. Well, I'll hit that record button. Recording in progress. Welcome to another Photo Tips Monthly show. I'm so glad that you guys are spending your time here watching this, investing your time, growing in your art and today on the business side, because we're going to be talking about mini sessions, what to do, what we're supposed to think about, how we're supposed to price, that kind of thing. And so it's kind of fun. This is kind of exciting. Because there's a lot of photographers who like doing mini sessions. And some of us do a good job of defining what that means and what that is and doing a good job of planning. And others could use some improvement in that area. In fact, I mean, who can't use a little improvement? I certainly could. So maybe we all can use a little improvement in that area. So we're going to bring up several points and also points of being able to contrast between a regular portrait session and what a mini portrait session is supposed to be, and how to maximize it so that you are able to bring in an income that makes it worth your while. Because I'm sure if you've tried mini sessions, that you've come across some bumps in the road. Could be because of the pricing, could be because of marketing, getting the word out. Maybe you you're scheduled to have up to 10, 15, and you schedule none. That's a little bit on the scary side because of all the work you put into it. But there's probably a reason for that. And we're going to be talking about some things that I really want you to think about today. Melissa, have you tried to do mini sessions, or have you helped out someone doing mini sessions?
Yeah, during the graduation season.
Okay, good.
I've helped a couple of friends doing that, holding the reflectors and,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing too, you got to think photographers still bring a lot of what they do for a full session. Like I said, having me going out there just for reflecting and stuff like that. And I've done my own session times with a couple of photographers when they've had pop-ups at special events where you get to go in and they have their backgrounds and you jump in and really quick get a quick thing like a couple of shots, and then you get to pick a package and stuff that they have there. So I've gone on both ends, the front end of the camera and behind the lens too. And actually last night I saw somebody discussing the doing a mini session and getting some kind of pushback, and said, oh, I'll probably get ghosted by this client after I gave her my prices. So and I think they were like, I put up that we had this going on today because there was a few people that comment on it, and I was like, well, let me, lo and behold, we're doing this session here. And so coincident enough, like I said, I told you this was about the time of year that people start doing these little mini sessions, and this would be a great topic. So that was interesting to see that popped up last night in a photography group.
I saw that, and I saw your response post, and I thought that was perfect. I think I may have even clicked the love button next to it.
Yeah.
I don't recall now. But I definitely saw that, and I did see some good interaction between different people and different opinions on that. And just in case you're watching and you don't know what ghosting is, I think everybody does, but I came across someone about 2 weeks ago who didn't know what I was talking about. And so I figure, well, I better make sure that I don't just assume. Ghosting means you in photography, it means you've given your price online, via email, in person, over the phone, And that's the last you hear from them. That's about it. Now, ghosting could mean that you don't hear from them anymore at all. But in as far as this particular scenario, this person was talking about anticipating, now that they've given out the price, they're anticipating being ghosted, hearing crickets, not getting anything to happen beyond that. And they're probably right, because it happens a lot. We don't know that. I mean, I don't know that I haven't gone back to check to see what kind of reaction they got. But that happens a lot, but it happens more often when you have some pieces in the puzzle, in your process, that are either missing or insufficient. And it's an evolutionary thing. We learn as we go. We could learn it a lot faster if we didn't try to do everything on our own. But hey, we're creatives. We think we can do it ourselves. And you know what? We're right. We're just not always the quickest. And so by taking classes, by listening to things, by spending time with the Photo Tips Monthly show and other things that you can find in person and online and all around, these things can fast track your education rather than trying to learn it on your own. I definitely tried to learn a lot of stuff on my own, but of course that was after. I mean, I got a degree in photography a few years ago, and I thought that prepared me for what was coming up, and it did. But there's so much more that you can learn, and that you need to learn in order to put things together. None of this stuff, either the business side or the photography side, none of it's hard. It's just that it is a lot of stuff. It's a lot of variables, and it's not that much different than learning how to drive. At first, you didn't understand how to drive. You understood the concept of it, but you didn't do it very well. But over time, because you were doing it constantly, day in, day out. I mean, most of us that have a job that is not in their house are driving every single day. I am now working out of my house, but for 17 years, I had a physical school where I would go to the office, go to the school, and people would come to me at the school. I don't have that anymore. So my commute is down to a number of steps between the bedroom and the dining room that has been turned into my studio. Totally. I can't believe Robin let me do this. But yay, I'm glad she did. But there's so many variables, so many cool things. And once we fast track and move our way through all these variables, they actually become pretty easy, just like driving became easy. Because as you're driving today, you're not thinking about, all right, which one of these tools do I have to do in order to tell people I'm going to be taking a right-hand turn? No, exactly. You could be changing the temperature, talking to the person next to you, and avoiding that jerk that's about to cut you off, all while putting your turn signal light on, because you've gotten used to it. It's a lot of variables. And at first you weren't good at it, but you evolved into it. You did it day in, day out. That's one advantage of driving, is because most of us do it day in, day out. When it comes to photography, a lot of us don't do it day in, day out, which makes it much more difficult to become the norm, to have that just how it just happens naturally. So it takes a while to get to that point. So if you guys have the handout, I want you to take a look at it. We're going to move into that here in just a moment. And I will put it up on my screen also so that you can follow along. So just in case you don't have it, no big deal. You'll still be able to see what it is that I'm talking about. So let me grab that. I just realized I'm at the end of it. I'm going to move it before I show you. There we go. All right. Sharing my screen, and I will probably have to make it a little bit bigger. Oh, nope, that's perfect. So my own title for this is Big Profits from Mini Sessions. There are a lot of things that fall in that category of mini session, but I want to give you a definition of it today. That way you have a picture in your mind. This doesn't mean it's limited to the definition I'm going to give you. It doesn't mean that everybody agrees with my definition. I'm just giving a definition so that we can actually see something in our minds from which to work from. I'm not telling you that I'm right. I'm just telling you this is one guy's point of view. So if you see somewhere else that they describe mini sessions differently, that's their definition. They can have their definition. They don't have to follow what I think is the definition of what a mini session is, but I like to define it because in defining something, I get clarity over that something, and I get better with that something when I've defined it. When someone just says, get out there and get better, work hard, how does that actually show any clarity whatsoever? I mean, true, you need to get out into the world. You need to focus. You need to work hard. Yeah, those are good things you need to do, no doubt. But they don't provide clarity. And clarity is key when trying to reach any destination. In destination, meaning physical or a goal that we have in our head, we have to provide clarity. And so real quick, I want to give you something that crossed my mind as I was writing this. Now, I probably wrote this 5 years ago, but at that point in time, while I was writing this came across my mind. It may have been from something that someone said, maybe a student, maybe a private coaching client. I don't recall, but it was a conversation we had, and this is what I came up with. And you've heard something similar to this before. This isn't going to be new. There is a difference between simple and easy. Simple means simplified, organized. But it does not mean easy. Easy is a description of amount of effort. This, a photography business, doing mini sessions, it's not easy. I mean, after a while, it becomes, just the norm. You get used to it. It does become easy, but not at first, not when you're getting used to it. If it were easy, everybody'd be doing it. Now, you may say, well, everybody is doing mini sessions. In this instance, there are a lot of people doing mini sessions, but there aren't a whole lot of people doing it right and making the kind of profit that causes them to be able to continue and buy more equipment and do some marketing, pay their taxes. Most of them aren't doing it that way. Most of them are scraping by, if a lot of them aren't even making a profit at all, and they're losing money every time they do a job. And they might not even know it. Some people haven't done their math. They haven't done their numbers. And so they're totally unaware that they're not making a profit. I've come across several. I have a free session, a free private session that I give. And I'll quickly move down. If you've got the handout, the address is down here at the bottom, calendly.com/photoschool/30min. If you go to that, that's my calendar. And if you have that link, you can take 30 minutes of my time, gifting it to you. And we can go over your prices for mini sessions. We can go over your prices, period. We can go over your total annual income and how to reach that goal. We can talk whatever it is, business related. That's what that's for. And it's not for photography questions. That's for the business side. And I do that for anyone who asks, who's got that address, until I'm too booked, of course. And it does book. You can book as much as 60 days out. So it's not one of those things where, well, I don't know if I'm ready today. Will you be ready within the next 60? If so, use that link. All right. So back to this, the difference between simple and easy. If a photography business were easy, everybody be doing it. Yeah, there's a lot of photographers, and some of you may feel like photography is an oversaturated thing. I can guarantee you it is not. And the reason why I say that is because the only area, there's one area that is saturated. There's just one. And that is the lower end of pricing. Now, I'm not saying that this is the lower end of quality. I'm not talking about the quality level of the human, the photographer. I'm not talking about that level of quality. I'm not that level. I'm talking about numbers only. Those who are charging a below average amount, there are a lot. And the majority of them, unless they're high volume, are actually losing money every single time they do a job. I can mathematically prove that. Now, without math, I couldn't prove it, because you may say, well, I charged $150. I have $150 more than I had yesterday. If that is your level of understanding, then you're correct. But I can guarantee you there's more than that level of understanding. And as you grow and evolve, you'll understand it. I don't expect everybody to understand it right from the bat, or from when they begin. I don't. It's not possible. I didn't. Of course, that may be because at my school, when I went to school for 4 years to learn photography, they didn't talk about the business side at all. It didn't come up in conversation. And the very few times that a student asked about it, they said, oh, you're not going to need that for the test, or you won't need that now, or you won't need that till after you graduate. Now, why would they say that? Well, it's true. Didn't need it for the test. Didn't need it right now. Didn't need it till after graduation. That's all true. But why would they say that? In the academic world, things are slightly different. They are incredibly intelligent people. Realism isn't their strong suit. Not in the art world anyway. I don't know about other types, other professions, other majors in schools, but in the art world, at least at the school that the 2 different schools I went to, but mostly one, they didn't have a clue about the business side. And not a single one of my 7 teachers had ever been a photographer. And so they couldn't train us on something they'd never done before. Now, that doesn't mean that they didn't know how to press the shutter and get beautiful images. I'm saying that they didn't know how to earn a living doing it because they hadn't ever done that before. They earn their living as an educator, which is great. I'm not saying anything negative about it. I'm just saying in the academic world, they should have been able to anticipate, because they're so smart. We got to prepare you for what happens next. And without the business side, you are ridiculously unprepared. And you guys may have heard me say this before. If this is your first time hearing me, you wouldn't have heard this, of course. But out of the 33 students I graduated with, within 5 years, I was the last one still a photographer. And I think it's because they didn't prepare us for what happens next. So is it easy? Sort of. But it takes a lot of work to get to the point where it's easy. And a lot of us either aren't aware or just don't want to do it once we become aware. So aren't you glad it's not easy? Because only in that lower end where you can't even make a profit unless you're high volume, and only in that end is the photography world saturated. Mid-range and high end, there's plenty of room. And those are the only areas where you do make a profit. It's not saturated. It's just difficult at first. And then it becomes easy because you keep on getting better. You have an organized plan and you do it, and it goes into an annual cyclical process, and you can tweak and make it better each and every time. So when it comes to the mini session, let's define it, because I need to make sure that I've got a good differentiation between what a regular session is and a mini session. By the way, there are many who do, many M-A-N-Y, many who kind of merge these two things together. For purposes of clarity, I want to separate them and make sure that it's clear what a mini session is, what its purpose is, what it is as a tool to help you as a business. So what is a mini session? You can read it right here in front of you. I think that most would define it as a very short photo session. And while it is a short photo session, if that is all that you think it is, you're missing one of the most important parts of the purpose of a mini session. The most important part is doing several sessions back to back over a scheduled, a certain period of time. If you drive out to some great place and only spend 10 minutes, that's a short session. But guess what? Not a mini session. It's just a short session. A mini session is an event that is planned and it's marketed for multiple clients who can book a short period of your time, knowing that they cannot be late, nor can the session go long, because there is someone waiting to go right after them. The advantage to the client is a lower price, but it doesn't change the amount of money you make, because what you're doing is you're splitting the amount of money you would have made over that greater period of time between multiple people. It's just a math problem. This is not how we feel about it. This is math. Man, I come across a lot of people that associate numbers with emotion. Guys, 1 + 1 = 2, no matter how much you don't like it. It's just math. You're just dividing your normal rate by several people. By the way, special projects in this scenario are the same thing as a mini session. Certain types of special projects, not all special projects. You know what? Let's define a special project. So to my regular clients who do full sessions, I still recommend that they do mini sessions or special projects throughout the year. And I say use it as a marketing tool so that your clients are constantly being, they know you and they don't forget about you. Your clients have, just like you, have a million things going on in their life. No matter how wonderful you were, it is possible for them to forget who you are, because there's a lot of other photographers who are trying to get their attention, especially those lower end. And so therefore they have a lot. It's kind of like I saw a commercial, probably been a couple of years ago now. But it was, I'm trying to remember the company name that had this commercial, but they were saying that, well, I'll tell you how the scenario was. It was a group of people who were at work, like a group of friends at work who were thinking about going out to lunch. And so they said, what was that place we went to 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or a month ago? What was that place we went to? It was really good. Yeah, it was really good. And they were talking about how it was really good. No one could remember the name of the place. And during that little conversation, someone else said another name and they went there. So if they forget who you are, no matter how good you were, this has no benefit to you. So therefore, to photographers who do full sessions and only see their clients maybe once a year, once every 5 years, you've got to do something that causes you to remain top of mind and they don't forget about you. And there's a lot of ways to do that. And you shouldn't do just one way, but one of those ways would be the mini session or special project. Now for a special project, let me give you an example of that. If you're doing a special project, you could do it similar to a mini session, or you could do it as something else. You could do it as a marketing tool. You could do it as a charity fundraiser. There's several different ways to do that, but I'm going to give you something that's just a specific example. Let's say that you reach out to a bank in your local area. Your goal in doing so is to increase the number of people you're reaching who are part of your target market. And so for me, I specialize in emotional family portraits as home decor. And so with that in mind, I'm reaching out to a bank. And I talk to whoever it is that their marketing person or maybe higher up. I actually like to go straight to the top. That's hard because there's walls to doing that. But if you're active in your local chamber of commerce, you have access to all of the bank presidents because they're there. So that's what I recommend. And that's how I did it, is because I went to those chamber functions and they were there. I would see them there. Now, not at every one of them, but the awards luncheons, they were always at the awards luncheons. And so, yeah, those awards luncheons or dinners cost more. They are worth it. I'm not talking about the lunch being worth it. It is. But I'm talking about the connections you make as a result of being there. Your goal isn't to meet everybody. Your goal is to meet some specific people. So I'm talking to the bank manager, the bank president, and I'm asking them, what do you guys do? And I know you care about your clients. It's really clear that you care about your clients. It's something I admire about you guys. But what is it that you do that uplifts them? And if you don't mind, I've got an idea that you and I could work together to make them happen. Would you give me 5-10 minutes of your time to share that with you? And they always say yes. It's like, yeah, sure. Now, occasionally they may say, yeah, but it's going to be a couple of weeks because I'm going to be, in vacation in Hawaii. Okay, yeah, there are times when it's not now, and that's fine. That's fine. So here's the thing that I share with them when I get that opportunity. I think it would be really cool, and I want to hear your opinion on this. If we were to work together by getting the families who are in business together as far as having you guys put on an event where there's wine and cheese and maybe a band or a harpist or whatever you want in your bank lobby. Just say this is an event that uplifts our families and business. But ahead of time, I want to photograph 12, 20, whatever the number is. I want to photograph 12 of those families, and we display those photographs in the lobby of your bank. And that is going to draw them in to see those photographs. Now, there's a lot of details to that, and I probably shouldn't go into the details because that might take too much time. But you can kind of see how this is going to work, how we're going to work with the bank. There are so many opportunities to work with others who are targeting the same market that you are, that there's no reason for you to try and do this alone. You can leverage their list. For instance, what is Jim Landers and Landers Photography doing working with Finer Works? I'm leveraging their list. They're leveraging my list. This is a win-win situation. I'm sharing information about Finer Works. They're sharing information about me and what I do. I hope you see that's beneficial to do that kind of thing. So I put that in a special project category. That is a special project with a marketing side. There's also special projects that are just personal. Maybe you just, years ago, I gave myself an assignment that now I give to my Photo 102 assignments, and it's called Beauty in Your Own Backyard. Special project. I didn't share it with anybody. Special projects in this situation is something you share. But in this particular thing, I just hung out in my backyard for 3 hours. Now, my backyard's not very big, so there's no way hanging out in my backyard for 3 hours with my camera makes any sense. But I didn't intend to spend 3 hours in my backyard. That's just what happened, because I went out with the intention of, I'm going to create beautiful images in this space that I don't think I could create a whole lot of beautiful images in. Special project. That was personal project though. Let's talk about 8 steps to planning a mini session. And before I go on, Melissa, was there anything I needed to address before I move into this next category? I'm good.
You're good.
Okay, awesome. So 8 steps to planning a mini session. Now, just so you know, I'm not a real fan of the name mini, partially because I hear it all the time. Everybody's using it. And photographers often will ask me, how do I stand out from the crowd? And my regular response is stop doing what the crowd is doing. So if everybody's calling it a mini session, I'm not going to. I have to do something that stands out. For instance, when I'm talking about prints, I don't speak in terms of inches. I speak in terms of feet. And so there's these little things that I do that cause people, when I'm talking to them, to realize I'm the real deal. I can expect to spend more with this guy, and I'm going to like it because of how I'm talking. These little things that I'm doing cause them to realize this is real. And for those who I want to work with, they're intrigued and attracted by that kind of thing. The people I don't want to work with are scared off by that kind of thing. Yes, I don't have time for everybody. You don't either. Besides, do you really want to waste other people's time? Do you want to waste yours? I mean, I do a good enough job of wasting time on my own. I don't need anybody helping me. So therefore, I'm going to define who I am and what I'm doing very clearly so that I only attract those people who I want to work with. I call it magnetic marketing. I want to really fiercely attract those who I want to work with. And I want to repel, not in a rude way, but I want to repel those who aren't part of my target market, because I don't want to waste their time and I don't want to waste mine. I think that means you care. If you're trying to accept everyone, you don't have time for everyone. Why would you do such a thing? If money's the only thing you're after, well, I guess maybe that's what you do. But I'm after good, strong relationships. I think that has more value anyway, all the way around, including income. That's just me. You're welcome to whatever opinion you have, and you're going to be right too for you. So minis are supposed to be short. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you're adding hair and makeup and these other kind of things, that short period of time might be longer. I didn't do any of that kind of thing with any of my mini sessions, but camera time needs to be short. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, short. Never more than 30 minutes. Are there some rare exceptions? Possibly. But generally speaking, under 30 minutes, and I'm thinking 5, 10, 15 minutes. Short, really short sessions. Now, that doesn't mean that all really short sessions are mini sessions. They absolutely are not. Regular sessions begin around 30 minutes, but can be much shorter. For instance, my quick headshot sessions are often under 15 minutes. They could be under 5. They may take a little bit longer because I do appreciate conversation. I do like knowing who it is that I'm photographing, talking with them a little bit, finding out who they are, what they're proud of, about their kids, about their pets. You know, if they have a husky like I have a husky, let me show you real quick. Can you see this little guy? This is what my puppy looked like when I brought him home. His name's Gray. Could you have said no to that face if you would have seen it? Yeah, he had to come home with me. Sorry, that was a quick aside. What's that?
He makes appearances as well.
Yes, he occasionally will come visit me during something like this. But I don't know where he is. He's probably sleeping somewhere. He does sleep a lot, but he's also crazy at times. So I like finding out who they are, and I like spending time with them to some extent. I mean, it's not, I can't let that go forever. I probably let it go for too long, but because, you know, everybody's got a story, and I love hearing their story. And so, you know, at some point we have to end it, of course, but a lot of times the conversation, what causes things to go a little longer, but that's for a headshot session. And unless I'm doing a headshot after headshot after headshot, you know, a headshot marathon, which is a good mini session. If I'm just doing one, it's not a mini session. It's just a short session. It's appropriate length for a full session for a headshot. So time is not the amount of time you spend, camera time is not the only determining factor in knowing whether this was a mini session or a regular session. Let's say that you were JCPenney Portrait Studio. How much time do they spend per client? There's a lot of photographers who would consider those mini sessions, but for the JCPenney Portrait Studio, that's the norm. They're just sessions. They aren't mini sessions, but for other photographers, they would consider it that way. So it depends on what you do. Compared to what? It helps you define whether it's a mini session or not. So quick note about time. So that your clients know how to plan. Clients need to know about camera time as well as what else could increase the amount of time they're spending with you: hair, makeup, clothing. And of course, when you give them a start time, this needs to be the start time, not camera start time. If you have hair and makeup going on, this needs to be hair and makeup start time. In addition, you need to tell them what the camera start time is too, but in addition, you need to tell them both. Now I have a note about digital files. This is an opinion and not everybody's going to share it, and that's fine because this is just a tool. Generally speaking, I don't include digital files. Now, do I sometimes? Yes, and I'll get to that in a moment, but I don't include digital files unless it's, say, a promo, like a social media image. And if it is a social media image, because what makes it the social media promo image is I am putting my logo on it. Now you may have a signature or something else, but I put my logo on it. Sometimes if it's an event, I'll put the name of the event, or a watermark of some sort on it. By the way, speaking of watermarks, guess what our topic next month is going to be? How to put a watermark on your image using Lightroom and Photoshop. So we'll do it in 2 different programs, just depending on which one you have, which one's more convenient. By the way, Lightroom is crazy easy, but so is Photoshop on this. So we'll go over that next time, what to do. I'll be sharing I'll have Lightroom up on my screen, go through the process. I'll share Photoshop with you and have that up on the screen, go through that process. So you will want to update, if you have Photoshop and Lightroom, update them. Make sure that you have updated versions so that looks the same as what I have on my screen. Right. That's for next month. That's for April. All right. So generally speaking, don't include digital files. I do believe it can be a good marketing tool to have your social media files, having them promoting what it is you do. But that's why I think you should have your watermark on them. Signature, logo, whatever, watermark. And watermark is just a little thing that goes on it. Now, it can go on it in any place. I generally put mine in the bottom right corner. And it's relatively small relative to the entire space. Sometimes I will put it on the opposite corner, but it's always on one of those 2 corners. I don't put it all over the place. Now, you may think, well, the reason why someone would put their image up with their watermark all over is someone doesn't copy it, doesn't steal it. Yes, that is one reason why someone does that. And if that's a concern of yours, then take it seriously. It's just not a concern of mine if someone does take it. I mean, it happens. I don't like it. And we probably should do something about it. To me, it hasn't happened very often. And so and it hasn't, anyway, I just, if you find it important, then you handle it your way. I just put it in that bottom right corner. Usually, if there's something in that bottom right corner that is distracting or it makes it hard to see my watermark, that's when I would move it to the opposite side. If it's a close-up of a person and their skin is showing in that spot, I usually don't like my logo on someone's skin. It looks like a tattoo or something odd. So I just don't want my logo on their skin unless it's skin on both sides, then it's the right side. So again, that's a Jim thing. You do whatever you feel is best for you. So I do think it is appropriate to include low-res digital files for some mini sessions. Now, having said that, specifically speaking, I was talking generally speaking about digital files. Specifically speaking, there are times when it's totally appropriate to include your digital files. Now, for the most part, I want them to order prints because there's profit in prints and I want to stay in business. And if I'm giving away my digital files, for one, I'm probably making less profit. It depends on what my price point is, but I'm probably making less profit. 2, I'm losing all artistic control, all of it. Now, if you claim to be an artist, stop purposefully choosing to lose artistic control. That's crazy. You got to take this to completion. Let's say you were some other medium other than photography. If you painted on canvas, are you going to have this mindset of, oh, they know how to use a paintbrush? I could mix some paints and send it to them. They can finish the painting. Paint by numbers, right? No painter would do that. It's crazy. Yet we photographers call ourselves artists are constantly, as a group, not individually, of course, giving our paintings away unfinished. Now you may say, well, it's finished, it's ready to go. Yeah, but you're relying on them to do the printing for you. You've lost quality control. Artists don't purposefully choose to lose artistic quality control because we have passion for our art. We have passion for its completion. We want it done right. Let's just talk about another profession. If you were a roofer, would you say they know how to use a hammer and nails and only take off the old roof and put the shingles down next to the garage and put away your ladder and go into the front seat of your car because you've prepared a bag of nails with a bow on it and go up to the front of the house and ring the doorbell and say, I'm done. You know how to use a hammer and nails, so I'm giving you this bag of nails for free. Tell your friends about me. See you later. That's what you do when you give control to your client over finishing the job. because in most situations, at least for family portrait photographers, the job isn't done until there's a print on the wall. Now, what other types are there? There's a lot of other types. Let's do it in headshots. Headshots a lot of times don't wind up as prints on the wall. The done for that is oftentimes a digital file, maybe optimized for the LinkedIn profile image. Whatever done is, that's what artists do. They take it to completion. Now, if you're a business person, and I'm just talking to the business people who don't really believe they're an artist, they just believe they're a business person, then you can break every single one of the artist rules. Artists like breaking rules anyway, so why not? Totally up to you. Again, this is one guy's opinion, and I may be the only person on the whole planet that has that opinion, but that's mine on that particular subject. So specifically speaking, there are times when you actually should consider including digital files. We have included digital files for our Santa pictures. Those are mini sessions for our Santa pictures for well over a decade. I'm not saying that you should too. A lot of photographers do print even those. But my goal with that is different. My goal is speed, get through this quickly, because we generally will photograph about 120 families or so each year. And that's between November and Christmas. And so my goal is to get through those as quickly as I can. And so we give them 10 minutes each. And once I'm done with general culling and light artwork, I send those out to them and I'm done. It's still very time consuming to complete those. You guys know that. But that's how we choose to do that. So please understand, I do believe there are times when you should do digital files. But I do also believe there are times when we should complete the job. So I want you to have a very specific reason for choosing to release digital files. For us, it's that we were getting lots of custom Christmas card orders. After a while, we chose not to do so many. So we increased the price of the session and included digital files with a copyright release notice. The copyright notice is the way the printer could print it without having to contact us because of copyright laws. Copyright law of 1976. You guys probably have read it, right? It's got to be the most boring read ever. If you have read it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't read the copyright law of 1976, I recommend that you know what's there basically, but I can't recommend it for reading purposes. It'll put you to sleep. Yeah. All right. So give your mini session a name. Give it a name. Now, what does that mean or how? Well, it depends on your goals. It depends on your promotion. But by thinking these words, here's some key words: exclusive. And then you have whatever it is you're photographing after it. Exclusive images, but whatever type. Exclusive something. Special edition. Petite. Special project. Limited. And then add something to it. For instance, portrait experience. So special edition portrait experience. Special edition, or excuse me, petite portrait experience. Exclusive portrait experience. Give it a name other than mini sessions. You're a creative. You can do better than just mini. Mini. I think mouse after that. Anyway. We could go a lot into that. And in my private sessions, I do, when someone's trying to get a specific name, something interesting, something more fun, I spend a lot more time because we need to really come up with a good name. We can't spend forever with it because naming is something we spend probably too much time a lot of times because your client doesn't care so much. So we just want something clever, but also it expresses pretty well what it is you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to convey. Number 2, know your why. Now, you've heard this a million times, I bet. I'm assuming, of course, but I bet you've heard this before. Know your why. And we've got to be clear on this, not generally, because I want to be happy, Because I want to make money. No. Come on. You got to be specific. I want you to be specific. I want you to write it down. I want you to think about it. I want you to say it out loud once you've written it. So make sure that it makes some sense. Maybe even record it and watch yourself. Just record on your cell phone, you saying it. Does it make sense? Does it sound enticing? Does it sound intriguing? And if not, it just means you have some more work to do. It means you're not done yet. No big deal. Maybe reach out to me for help, because I love doing that kind of thing. Know your why and visit it often, especially when you're having some challenges or delays. This suggestion applies to all areas of your life. When you know your why, you have greater overall clarity. Now, what do I mean by that? Knowing your why? There are certain things I believe you should have in your work environment. And this is in addition to the normal stuff you'd expect. So I'm not talking about a place to write your notes or a pen or the mouse or the keyboard. I'm not talking about any of those things. I'm talking about you have a belief filter that you view everything, every single thing through. And it's based on your experiences, the things that you understand or know or believe to be true. They could have come from people who you believe in. They could have come from something you read. They could have come from something that you learned about in a class. There's all different places where these things that you feel are correct came from. But they all exist on this filter. You're viewing life through a filter of your experiences. You don't view life without this filter. You don't even have the ability to view life without the filter. So therefore, purposefully put good things that help you with clarity in your filter. How do you do that if it's just imaginary? Well, it's imaginary, but it's also real and you have control over it. And so I say in your work environment, you need your 4 statements. Those 4 statements are not listed here. I want you to write them down. Mission statement. If you don't have one, you need a mission statement. Second one, your value statement. Values, what do you believe in? What's important to you? If you believe in addition to doing what you do, that you want to support something else, you want to help either with time or money. Values. What do you value? What's important to you? Now, I say do this for yourself and for your business, but specifically right now, I'm talking about your business. Number 3, your vision statement. What do you see for the future? What's coming? What is all of this for? All this effort, what's it for? Number 4, your target market. By the way, for my intermediate and advanced students, there's one more, and it's called a positioning statement. But I'm not going to go there today. So your target market, who is it that you want to work with? And you've got to be very specific with this. When you are specific with this, you wind up with those people. You don't wind up with the people who drain you of energy. And if they do, they just kind of slip through the cracks somehow. Maybe somebody else referred them. They weren't seeing your marketing. They came direct, but you reduce the number of people who drain your energy. And as a creative, we've got to be protective of that, because people who drain our energy clearly are not beneficial to us as creatives. So we've got to make sure we reduce the number of times we come in contact with those guys. And it's different for all of us. We all have different things that cause us to be energized and cause us to get drained. So this is very personal. Who's your target market? Who do you want to work with? Who uplifts you? Who, when you are around them, makes you feel amazing? You enjoy being around them. They aren't draining you. Define who this person is clearly, and you will wind up with more of those people in your life. And I say, put these statements right here in your workspace. So every moment when your mind wanders a little bit and you're not sure what to do, you're reading your mission statement, your value statement, your target market, your values. You're reading these things. This improves your clarity. This helps you to define your why. Now, if you're doing a special project or a mini session, you've got to be specific on the why of that particular project also. Why am I doing this? Because if you can't convey to yourself why, how do you expect to convey that to prospects? You can't. So you got to become clear on it. Next, number 3, I want you to describe your process. So your process is, what are the steps that you are going to go through in order to get it from the beginning to whatever your definition of completion is for this particular project? What are the steps involved? Write them out. Don't think, I got this in my head. Write them out. When you write them out, you start seeing areas where you can improve. Now, once you've done that, I want you to do one more assignment. Write the process from the client's point of view. I guarantee you will see gaps in what you're doing when you do it that way. What will your client expect of you? Reminders? Were you doing that? If you weren't, you'll see it when you're writing from the client's point of view. What happens? What do they do? And then, of course, adjust your process, the things that you do, to accommodate that. By the way, I like to add a wow factor to every single thing, or just some little bump, one up it. What can I do to make this piece even better, even more exciting, more intriguing? What can I do to one up every single piece of your process? This is one of the many ways that you rise above your competition, above the crowd. How do you rise? How do you get noticed amongst the crowd? Stop doing the things the crowd is doing, or do more than what the crowd is doing. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily it's going to take a huge amount more of your time. It could, a little bit, but after a while, it won't feel like anything because it'll become normal. And a lot of things can be automated. So describe your process from beginning to end. By the way, when you do the mini session, you'll notice areas that you can improve. And if you're just thinking in your head, I need to improve that. If you don't have a process to go back to so you can pinpoint the area that you need to improve, you might not even ever improve it. You might forget about it. But if you've got your processes written down, you can just, in your notes, while you notice the problem, circle it and say, come back to this later. I need a better process for this. This didn't work out the way I thought it would. Or I got a question that I didn't anticipate. How can I either address that or eliminate that as a concern? Either way, it's an improvement in your process. It's how you tweak. It's how you get better each year. And your photography business becomes more like driving. You just are used to it. It has become easy. Next, project ideas. You're going to have lots of ideas. You have lots of ideas. You do. You're thinking about ideas all the time. Some of them are fleeting, pops into your head, and oh, wow, that sounds great. And then something else pops into your head, and you try to go back to it and you have forgotten. Yep, you've got fleeting ideas. We're creatives. This happens to us. But I say, when you have a creative idea, that you somehow record it and you give it a home. So give your thoughts a home. For me, I've got binders everywhere. There's, I think, 28 of them right here in my work area. And there's probably another, 50 in another room, maybe more than that. And so I put my ideas in a binder. Now, that's the big ideas that take me a little bit longer, like my larger classes, the classes that take me more than 4 to 6 hours. By the way, my longest class takes 18 hours, and there's 5 of those that are that long. The majority of my classes, though, are much shorter. But I have those all in binders. The live stream shows that I do, that's in binders. The All right, there's just a bunch of stuff in binders, the clubs that I'm part of and all that stuff. But then I have an idea binder, a project ideas binder, where I just put the project idea there and maybe jot down a quick few thoughts about it so I don't lose it forever. So that inspiration that came to me, I've captured it. And so I have a binder that is specifically for project ideas. Maybe they'll get done, maybe they won't ever get done, but I've got them. As far as your own project ideas, what are you going to do as a mini session or a special project? They're the obvious ones. You could do Valentine's Day, spring break, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, July 4th, back to school, Halloween, Christmas. There's a bunch of those obvious ones that you could do. And that doesn't make them, and when I say obvious, that doesn't make it bad. It doesn't make it anything. You can make something of anything. So if you want to do Santa pictures like I've done, my wife and I have done for years, do that. You may think, well, there's a lot of people that's doing that. I don't want to do that. Okay, well, if that's what you feel, that's fine. But I don't think that should hold you back. I think maybe access to a real beard Santa could hold you back. But if you look over at James Theoposis, I bet you anything within the next 20 years, he might make a great Santa. He's going to have to gain some weight, though. That guy is way too fit. And, you know, it may not look at this angle that he's got a lot of hair, but he does. He has a lot of hair. So besides, even if your Santa full beard, regular full beard Santa doesn't have a lot of hair, he has a Santa cap on. So who cares? You just care that this part right here is nice and fluffy and white. By the way, I had a Santa who had color in this area, not quite as much as James has in his, and we dyed it white. Now, is that temporary that washes out? But still, we dyed it white because it has to be white. It's Santa. We have to give people the dream. So what creative ideas do you have? I mean, take a moment. Think about this. I'm not going to start playing the Jeopardy theme and give you 30 seconds to think about it, but what creative ideas do you have? Not just the standard ones. Those are good. What kind of fun stuff can you come up with? Let's say that you are a child photographer. You like photographing kids. How about mommy and me, daddy and me? I wouldn't say that's real creative, but it fits the category of something you could do. How about the kid doing dad's profession? You dress the kid up like dad, or you dress the kid up like mom. What it is that they do. It's kind of fun to do stuff like that. What kind of cool ideas can you come up with that's going to intrigue and cause your target market, the people you want to work with, to say, what's this? That sounds cool. That's what you want to have here. And I'd say you only need between, maybe 3. Just write down 3. You don't need a huge number of these. For those of you who do mini sessions as your business model, you're probably going to need to have at least 12 different ones throughout the year. But for those of you who use mini sessions as a marketing tool, I still recommend that you do mini sessions. But I think you should do maybe 3, 4, 5 at the extreme throughout the year. So what ideas do you have? Now let's talk about this concept of the power of one. Power of one. By the way, I also have something I talk about as a power 12, but we're talking about the power of one today. I want you to choose just one of those cool projects that you've come up with. Just choose one at a time. Doesn't mean you're not going to do the others. Just want you to focus on one thing at a time. You may have heard this called stay in your lane. Focus in on just one thing. Choose one marketing tool. There's a lot of marketing tools out there, but for this first time, just choose one. Just choose one. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. You don't want you to get overwhelmed. So until you get the hang of doing this kind of thing, and you've got some record keepings, you're writing down what happens and you're making changes to it, something to look back at, to compare, to improve upon. Give this project in your marketing tool, whatever marketing tool you've chosen, give it everything you've got. Pour everything into it. All of us have reasons and excuses why we can't get something done, and they are real. There are tons of real things out there, but you have heard all the stories about someone who's in an impossible situation who somehow makes it work. And you may think, man, that's inspiring. That's incredible. But you may not realize they are just as human as you are. They're not superhumans. They're you. They've just gotten a little bit more determined. And it may have been only a little bit more determined that made the difference. There are people every day that deal with pain. You know someone who's dealing with that. I'm not going to mention any right here, but you guys know someone who's dealing with pain every day. And yet somehow they're pushing their way through it. For me, if I get a headache, I'm slow. I slow down. And if it's worse than that, I become just a big baby. I'm sure my wife would comment on that. Because most of the time I'm not sick. I'm feeling good almost all the time. I don't get sick very often. I'm very grateful that that's the case. I know that there's people who are in the opposite situation who are dealing with this kind of thing always, and yet somehow they're able to focus their attention and get something done. Maybe they have some other kind of situation that they're having to deal with. They make it happen. You've heard these examples. You've heard of these single moms who have, you know, the regular, normal, overwhelming workload that single moms have, and they have a successful business. How the heck do they do that? Are they time benders? If they are, they need to have a class. I don't care how much their class costs. I'm taking a time bending class, but I haven't come across anyone that's doing it yet. I don't know if it's closely held secret or what, but somehow those people have more time than 24 hours a day, right? I don't think so. I think they have just chosen to ignore their excuses, because that's what they are, guys. Yes, they're reasons, but they are the thing that is holding you back. And if you allow them to hold you back, you're going to get held back. You're going to. If you disallow them to hold you back, you're not going to get held back. It is as simple as that on the surface. It's very hard to actually make it happen. I struggle with that every day too. Everyone seriously has difficulties, but the successful photographers have powered through them somehow. Excuses are powerful. They are real. Excuses work very hard to get in your way. They are very good at what they do. But you have to be stronger than they are. Otherwise, nothing is going to happen. You must focus in order to be successful. There's a lot of good things out there. You don't have time for all the good things. Sorry, you don't. You've got to define where you are and where you're going. You've got to define a path to get to where you're going, and you have to give it a timeline. Here's a reason why you must do all three of those things. If you don't know where you are, you're going to have a really time getting anywhere. So you've got to define it and where you're going. I think that one makes a lot of sense, although I found a lot of photographers who have not defined any destination at all, other than really short term, and even then not very well. We have to define all of our destinations, everything we want in life, everything we want for our business, everything we want for our clients. We've got to define it. It's kind of fun planning. We just don't know necessarily that we have to do it or how to do it. I can help with that. That's what I do. You're planning from where you are to where you're going. Now that you've defined where you are and where you're going, you now give yourself potential that you never had before. And that's defining a path to get to where you want to go, to make that a reality. No matter how pie in the sky it is, you can give yourself a path to it because you've defined it. Now, in defining what the path is, we have to define when we want that destination to happen in our life, when we want to make it a reality. And the reason we want to be that specific is because let's say that we are in, let's choose a town, San Antonio, Texas. Anybody ever been there? If you've been there, then you know there's an inner loop and an outer loop. There's kind of an inner loop too, but it's made up of several different roads, different highways. But then there's the 410, and then there's 1604, and who knows, there may be something else out past that at some point. But right now, that's as far. That's it's huge. I wonder how long it would take to drive all the way around 1604. San Antonio is a city with around 2 million people. I think there's 1.5 million living in the city limits and about 2 million that live in the county. So not a small place. In the US, it's number 7. Guess who's number 8? Dallas, Texas. What? Yeah, San Antonio is larger than Dallas. Now, if you want to be more direct and specific, it's not larger than the DFW area. That's huge. But as far as Dallas alone, we are bigger than Dallas. But let's say you're at 1604 and you want to go to downtown San Antonio. You've defined where you're at. You've defined where you're going. The path to get there is I-10, Interstate Highway 10. And when you're driving that path, if you don't give yourself a timeline, you're going to stop at good things. Let's say you love Starbucks. Now, I know not everybody does. I'm well aware of that. But let's say you love Starbucks. In this scenario, you love Starbucks. And so you are a normal human. You put good things in your path. In this scenario, Starbucks is one of those good things. And so as you're driving, you exit to Starbucks because, hey, it's a good thing. We love that place. Only way you would ever do such a thing is if you didn't define a timeline. Because if you said, I need to do it in 25 minutes. By the way, let's take out major traffic times of the day out of this equation. And let's say that, yes, you can do it in 25 minutes, but as long as you didn't stop. So let's say it's, 2 o'clock in the morning. So you're going from 1604 to downtown San Antonio, and your timeline says, I got to be there in 25 minutes. Because you've defined the timeline, you know very well you can't stop anywhere, even for the good things. So success is not a matter of putting good things in front of you, because we all do that. Now, I know a lot of us put some bad things in front of ourselves too, because some of those bad things are a lot of fun. But generally speaking, we put good things in front of us. And if we continue to do that, we think, well, if we're putting good things in front of us, then good things happen. Guys, that's not how this works. You have to put the right things in front of you. So it's not a matter of differentiating between right and good. It's the difference between differentiating between good and right. And you've got to do the right things. So you have to define, and the only way to define what's right is by defining where you're at and where you're going, a path to get there, and a timeline for it. It is the only way to get to what's right. You can get to what's good without any planning whatsoever. You have to know the difference between what's good and what's right. Number 6, accountability. Because it isn't easy. It gets that way, but it's not at first. Because it isn't easy, it does help to state your goals so that others know what to expect. That way you have a bit of self-imposed pressure to get things done. Now, you do have to be careful on who you share these things with. There are people out there who they're not the kindest people. So be careful who you share this with, but sharing these goals, these things, this vision that you have is important. Now, some people do that with, they have groups that they're in, Facebook groups and others that they're in that just uplift each other. And it's just a group of people who have goals to become better people or better at their profession or whatever it is they want to do. They are just a member of this group. And pretty much everyone in it is supportive and uplifting. Perfect. Others like to have a business coach. Definitely recommend business coaches, guys. Business coaches are expensive. They are. However, the amount of money they're going to bring in as a result way outweighs it. They are so worth it. And by the way, if you find that they're not worth it, drop them and move on to somebody else. There is someone out there, a business coach, who's going to bring in so much more money than they cost that you are going to think, why didn't I do this sooner? I just didn't know. I didn't want to take a risk. I get it. Totally get it. I've had 5 business coaches over the years. Not all of them have been fantastic, but most of them have. They've been amazing. And those are people who you want to tell your goals. Plus, a lot of them know additional ways for you to reach your goals that you didn't even think of. So, accountability. Number 7, software, optional. Not it is recommended, but software is optional. But I do recommend automating as many processes as possible. Make this as easy as possible for you. And I do recommend someone to do that for you. And you can see that Sticky Marketing Tools. But when I wrote this, that was where to go. But this has a new address, and I'm going to change it right here while you watch. Sticky built for you. So BFY. That's who I recommend to help you out with this kind of thing. There are others, and maybe you want to see others. And no, I don't get any commission. I recommend them because I believe in what it is that they do. In fact, I wrote them an email as recently as yesterday. I totally believe in what they do. And so I recommend it to you. They will build the process, they'll build the website, all this kind of stuff for you so that you can focus on the part you love the most, the photography. Probably talking with your clients too, even us introverts. Yeah, I'm an introvert. I know I don't come across as one, but I own it. But you do love your clients. And so therefore you do want to spend some time with them. Now you do get to the point where you're done spending time with them. I know you lose at some point. We all lose that energy. It does drain us at some point. But this software is great, and it just covers a lot of bases, including email and landing pages and collecting emails and phone numbers and payments. It takes care of all that for you. Yeah, there's a cost associated with it. I think they should charge about $5,000 for this. I don't recall what it is. It's less than 1,000. I just don't remember what the amount is, but I can't believe they're charging so low for all the stuff that's included in that. I really should be making a commission off of this, shouldn't I? But they're just fantastic. And Nate Grahek is the owner. Fantastic guy. I'm sure he's crazy busy, and his whole team is crazy busy because they are doing such a good job helping out photographers. Now, pricing, man. Pricing is something that takes quite a bit of time to do it right. I can go over a little bit of this with you. We have time for me to go over pricing, right? Okay. So by the way, I do offer a 2-hour private session to go over your specific situation. Yes, I do charge for that. I mean, it's 2 hours of my time. If you were working somewhere, you'd get paid for the 2 hours of your time too. So I get paid for that. But oh my gosh, this is such a good thing. I'm going to go over it in general terms with you. So let me stop this share and bring over another screen to you. This is a Google Sheets screen, so an Excel file that I'm going to share with you. And it's called Pricing a Mini Session. Share screen. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. There we go. Ignore how many tabs I have open. Pricing a mini session. All right. First thing, how much money do you want to make? We're talking about pricing, so therefore we have to talk about dollars. If you're going to dedicate one whole day to this, one whole weekend, 2 weekends, whatever period of time, if you're going to invest a period of time into it, we need to make a certain amount. Now, every one of us has some monetary value. And it is not based on what other photographers charge. It couldn't be any further from that. So you guys who are getting your pricing from other photographers, guys, math would prove that's the wrong way to do it. Now you may say, well, I've got to be competitive. I've got to charge what they're charging or they won't hire me. No, you don't. Okay. I know people whose average sales are well up into the thousands. Some of them are students. There is a photographer in Florida who has a flat rate. He does full sessions, but he has a flat rate. It's $5,000. He includes one print of any size that you can print. What's the largest size that you can print at Finer Works? Do you guys have that handy?
Yeah.
Is it a 5-foot print?
Yeah. I'm trying to think what is the largest item.
Like a
I'd
5 by 5 or?
Yeah, it's probably a canvas. I mean, we can do larger, but it's just it becomes problematic to ship it once you go much larger than a 60 inches in any direction width or height.
If someone were Finer Works is in San Antonio, somewhere is in San Antonio, does being local make a difference in the largest print size you could print for them?
No, because our local businesses is such a small percentage of what we do.
So that really didn't change it. Okay.
Yeah.
So a 5 by 5 print.
Yeah.
And by the way, I want to make sure you guys understand. When I'm talking to my clients, I speak in terms of feet. And so a 5 by 5 means 5 feet by 5 feet. It does not mean inches. Inches is what all photographers talk about. I'm going to put myself a level up. It's such a tiny little thing, but they notice. So a 5 foot by 5 foot print. So whatever the largest size is that Finer Works can print, that is what this person does. He says you get one print for that amount. Because I mean, what is someone going to ask? 5,000. What do I get for that? One print. One print. Are you kidding me? Any size you want, even the largest size available. One print. That's what's included in it. Any size. It doesn't matter if it's a 16 by 20 or a 5 foot by 5 foot. It doesn't matter. You get one of any size you want. So that's going to mean that they take the amount that people are charging for it and make that minor compared to the appropriate size for the place it's going to be displayed, which is the most important thing anyway. The size, the dimensions, who cares about the dimensions? We care because we want to get what's right. But what matters is getting the size that's appropriate for the space it's going to be displayed in. And so that's what this guy does. He makes it where whatever size they need, that's the size he's going to print for them. It's part of the deal. Now, he will charge extra for other things, but it's the extra stuff is kind of small because at that point, it's mostly what when we're talking about profit, a lot of times we refer to that as that's gravy. So anything extra is just gravy. He gets the minimum amount he needs. He determined that $5,000 was the amount he needed to make per job. That was what his average sale was in order to reach his annual income goal. By the way, if you do one of those private sessions with me, that's what most people are using me for, is to find out what their annual income goal is and how to break that down into what their price list should be in order to reach it. Because that's what matters. What other photographers charge is an irrelevant variable. Who cares? Seriously, who cares? If you're caring about that, I'm telling you right now, you're doing it wrong. This is Jim's point of view. Someone else is going to give you a different one. I'm not going to tell you they're wrong, but I'm going to tell you I've got math backing me up. And they have feelings backing them up. You choose which one's more accurate. So I know how much I need to make in a certain period of time based on the amount that I know I'm worth. And I can tell you the exact amount you're worth per hour. A lot of people are worth 100, 200, 300. A lot of people are. That's for every hour they work. That's not just photography time. Photographers, if you're an event photographer, you do charge by the hour. But unless you're doing mini sessions, you don't charge by the hour, by the period of time. You're charging by what the end result is. To me, I'm charging for the tears of joy that I cause them to have for years to come. That's what I'm charging for. That's the value I provide. They're going to forget how much time it took. I might forget how much time it took. But what's left is how they feel about it. That's where feelings should be should be a part of the mix, not when it comes to numbers. So let's say that your part after expenses and taxes, you want to bring in $2,000. And let's say that you want to do 12 sessions. Now you get to choose this. If you change the number, then you change the equation here. But you determine how many you want ahead of time. By the way, there's a lot of advantages to being able to know exactly how many you're going to have, because that way, when you're doing your marketing, you could say only 12 spots available. So therefore, you've got a sense of urgency to get in while there's still some left. And then once you've sold a few, you send out another email that says 7 spots left. It gives that sense of urgency, but it's also very true. I only have that many. That's seriously how many I have. So how many sessions do you want to do per hour? So we add in these different things. So if in this scenario, and this is just the last person I spoke with, that's what these numbers are. So they wanted to bring in $2,000. So if they choose to do, and this, they were doing this on a Saturday. So they wanted to have 6 in the morning, 6 in the afternoon. So a total of 12. So that means that if they're going to do half-hour sessions, that's where the 2 comes in. How many do you want to do per hour? 2. Maximum number of hours of photography time is 6. So that means they're doing 3 hours before lunch and 3 hours after lunch in order to reach this goal of 12. Now that tells us exactly how much we need to make, but then we need to add in our expenses. What are we going to be purchasing for this? Props, background, marketing we're going to do. How much does that stuff cost? Put that number there. Here's the amount of money that you actually need to bring in your goal is a little over 3,000. Now that includes the taxes you're going to pay on it. So if you want to bring in 2,000, about 3,000 is what you need to bring in order to get 2,000, just FYI. So average amount you need per session. Well, when it's a mini session, they're all paying the same amount. You could do upsells on the back side of it. You could do upsells at the beginning of it too, guys. But let's just be specific on just this one thing alone. $255 is the amount that you charge. And it makes it very clear what it is you need to do. Now, that's for this particular scenario. Yours very likely is going to be different than that. Maybe you're doing it over a couple of different weekends. Maybe you're doing it, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're going to do it however you're going to do it. But we have to do it by the numbers in order to know exactly the amount we have to charge in order to reach our goal. Now, that's if we fill every single space. If you can anticipate you're going to fill every single space, then this is the appropriate number. However, if you know that you're not, history has shown you that you're not able to fill these, you're going to have to raise your number because you still have to bring in that $2,000 because that's the amount you said you needed. Let's talk about how long it'll take you to do this. All right. How long do you think it'll take you to plan? This person said, probably take me about 5 hours worth of planning time. All right. That may be right. Maybe wrong. 5 hours. How long do you think it'll take you to photograph the marketing images? I mean, don't you have to have some marketing images? Of course you do. I also recommend marketing video. Include the time it's going to take to get the models you're going to be working with. Now, this may be your next door neighbor, but include that. How much time is that going to take? Getting them, photographing them. Now, how long will it take you to do the marketing pieces? Now that could be time consuming because that's where you're doing all your artwork. That's where you're doing your graphics work. You may outsource this. There are virtual assistants that can do this for you. But for most of us, we have to start off doing it ourselves. So how much time? This person said 7 hours. Consider any additional time consuming activities. Drive time. Consultations if you're going to do them. By the way, a mini session generally doesn't have a consultation. That's one thing, one major difference between a mini session and a regular session is regular sessions should have a planning session attached to them. How many hours will the session be available? These sessions be available for? So that's 6. That's where that number right there came from. You see that it's not in gray, it's in white. Only the gray ones can we change. And post-production time, an hour for each job. Appreciation, writing thank you notes. Got to write your thank you notes. Show appreciation. I mean, that builds brand loyalty to you, and anything else. That may be something specific. She didn't have anything else that she wanted to do. So that number was 0. So total hours to complete this project is 24. That's how much time she anticipated that she would need. So that's photography time and all the prep and post work. She predicted it would take her a total of 24 hours, meaning if she's going to bring in $2,000 for her, that's after expenses, after taxes, then she was going to be making $83 an hour. Now, in this scenario, that was right for her. But for a lot of photographers, $83 does not reach the amount that you need to make per hour. And that means your number at the beginning would have to be changed in that scenario. Again, this is just a math equation. This number has to match or at least be very close to the amount you need. Oh, I was wrong. That didn't match up to her number. Her number is 170. That's how much she's worth every hour. So the difference between the two numbers is $87. That means she's losing $87 an hour that she works. That's not good. So how much should your income goal be? In her instance, $4,000. She was off by $2,000 with her guesstimate of 2. So that's how we come to the numbers on what the numbers should be. So therefore I'm going to put that number up here in the top and redo all of this. So you'll notice that when I put in that number 4,000, let me highlight and copy it. 4,091. I didn't do it. You'll notice the difference between the two are 0 because you are making that $170 an hour that you need to make. Unless you've done your numbers, you wouldn't have a clue about this. I help people with this every day to find out what their numbers are. You have an exact number that causes you to be able to reach your goals with the variables that are unique to you. So the amount someone else charges, a completely irrelevant variable, a seriously who cares thing. Now, curiosity, sure. I'm curious what other people charge. Of course I am. But it doesn't change the amount I want because I've got goals in mind. I've got things I want to try and reach. So therefore, there is a certain number of dollars I have to bring in or I won't reach that goal. Photography is your passion. It's your art. It's your passion. Yeah, it is. But it's also a tool to help you get what it is that you want out of this wonderful life that you have. So you have to start by defining, this is way before all this stuff. What do you want out of this life? That's where you begin. We're not talking about that today, though. So there's where you get those numbers. And there is more that I could talk about those, but I do see that I'm running out of time now. Melissa or James, how do you feel about these things, the math side, the emotion side, the planning side, the different things that I've brought up or brought to your attention today?
Well, the accountability part, I like that you what you were talking about, like the photo essay and clubs like that, where you want to surround yourself with people who are already doing what you want to do. I think everybody says, when you're an artist or photographer and you get advice from your family, you're asking people who don't know anything about the business at all. And so, of course, everything that's going to come from them is going to be an uneducated, negative hurdle that you're going to have to overcome.
Good one.
But sometimes, like you were saying, getting the accountability is also having the right people around you to be accountable to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good one. Thank you. That's definitely a good one.
Let's see on here. Speaking of photo essay, do you have anything coming up?
I really appreciate you asking that. I did up until just a few days ago, and the speaker had, well, first they hadn't confirmed. They were 90% sure, but there was something that was in the way, and they let me know, and so I didn't announce it yet. But I did just find out that's that little small chance that something was going to happen to make it impossible. It happened. And so therefore I am looking for another speaker for next a week from today. Photo Essay meets on the second Thursday of every single month at 6:30 via Zoom, kind of like how we're meeting here. Of course, this is also being live streamed other places, but this is one way that it's being you can use the content. It's being done via Zoom, and it's live streamed other places too, just like the portrait, like the Photo Tips Monthly show is. So I have to find someone between now and then. Hopefully sooner rather than later. I won't have time to let people know what it is, but it's going to happen. There'll be something going on, even if I have to do it myself, which I have to. I would be grateful to. But I know that people want to hear other voices other than my own, because people in the Photo Essay probably hear my point of view enough. And would like to have other points of view too. So that's why I always have, or I like to have lots of other different speakers throughout the year.
Yeah, we do too on our Tuesday show. Well, our next Photo Tips Monthly will be April 7th. And as you were mentioning earlier, it's going to be on Watermark for both Lightroom and Photoshop. And that's that even works for me and James are talking about it. It works for artists as well who want to watermark their art, as especially when they go up on social media and stuff like that. So this will be a very, good topic, and people like assistance with those particular software. So we can't wait to do that. And we just want to remind everybody that Finer Works does have the 30% off archival map paper sale going on through Sunday, midnight Central Time here. So just go to finerworks.com. You'll find the details at the top of the page. We also want to let people know we have the referral program going on. We had a lot of people going on about wanting to be, some kind of, because we have great customers that recommend us all the time. If you log on to your FinerWorks account, there is at the bottom under, I believe it's under help, it is the referral program information, and you can get your own unique referral link. And that will give you a 10% commission on anybody who joins with a new FinerWorks account and their first order. You also are able to give them, when they sign up through your link, they will get a 10% discount code that they need to use in the first 30 days. And 30 days after their first order, you'll get a commission on there. And you can use those as FinerWorks credits to apply to any of your FinerWorks orders. So with that, James, did you have anything else that you want to add? Did I cover it all?
I'm trying to think. I think referral program, I think that pretty much covers it. We are seeing some interesting new clients come in. Our picture framing is, we are adding more personnel to services like picture framing and canvas, because we realize with the increase in orders that it's going to become more difficult to meet the turnaround time. So we're hoping with some of the things we're doing as well that some of the streamlining will also improve the turnaround times. So we have a lot going on at FinerWorks right now this month that we'll be implementing, and can't go into detail on all of it, but just stay tuned. Yeah.
Yep. We also have new envelopes for those of you who do card
Yeah.
ordering. We have the new craft cards. They're really beautiful, kind of. I like them. It gives like that rustic look, and hopefully we'll add some other options to that. But if you go into your card ordering, you'll see that new option in there. And if you can want to go into your newsletter, a couple of weeks ago, I think James has some sample photos in there as well. So yeah, a lot of great things starting here. Well, Jim, as always, we appreciate your time and you doing all of these every month. We look forward to next month's topic and can't wait to see you in here so that you can see the new lobby.
I am looking forward to that.
Well, you have a great one and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. And those of you who are watching, those who are watching live, those of you who are watching it for the recording, thank you guys for investing your time and growing yourself, because when you invest in you, you're not only improving you. That's a wonderful thing. But guess what? People are seeing what you're doing. They're watching you. They're making choices based off of what you're doing. They see it. And so they are empowered and become better as a result of the work you're doing. And so while, yes, Melissa and James and myself are doing things to uplift artists, you are to simply by investing your time to learn and grow and apply what it is that you've learned. So thank you for that. Thank you, Melissa and James specifically, because you do so much. I mean, it's over and above what you need to do. As the Finderworks has some, very specific things that they do as a business. They print our artwork. But they're also doing things to help us, to make us better at what we do, even the business side. And so all these extra things that you do, thank you so much from myself as a creative, and I suppose I'm speaking for other creatives. Thank you for all that you're doing to uplift us and cause us to be better at what it is that we do. Thank you for that support.
Well, thank you. Like I said, we appreciate everybody tuning in for it and hope it helps.
Giro, yes, Finderworks is in San Antonio. It is a national, I guess, an international lab. It just happens to be located in San Antonio, Texas. So yeah, that's the answer to that. All right. Well, thank you guys for taking your time to be here at the Photo Tips Monthly show. I appreciate your time and energy being here. I look forward to the next time. Thank you guys. See you later. Okay. Bye-bye.